dance with me. Move your feet and feel it in the space between. You gotta give yourself a moment, let your body be. Downtown we let it go, sunset high and our body low. Blood rush in the haze.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with another video, and this time I'll be doing a fill. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going in with a medium drill bit to remove the gel polish, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I did have a little bit of a hard time trying to remove this gel polish from her nails because for some reason my nail drill has been acting up and it just, I don't know, like it doesn't rotate as fast. Sometimes when I set the drill bit like on the nail, it just stops rotating if I put too much pressure on it. So I did buy a new one already. I bought the Melody Susie nail drill, which I'll be doing a review on it pretty soon. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. Alrighty, so I'm going to go in with my Tammy Taylor Peel and Stick Cuticle Pusher, and I'm just going to push back her cuticles. Alrighty, so now we're going to go in and just remove the shine from the natural nail, and for that I'm using a 180 sanding bend. So remember, you want to make sure that you get as close as you can to that cuticle area to make sure that you don't get any lifting, and even after you file, you want to make sure you go back and dust the nails off, and if you see any little shiny parts, you go back and file a little bit more. Once again, I'm using a 180 sanding bend, and we are just removing the shine from the natural nail. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go back and replace that nail. So I'm using my KDS nail glue. We're going to glue the tip down. We're going to measure that nail against the other one. We're going to cut it down and then shape it up. And to shape it up, I'm going to be using a 100-100 nail file. And we're just going to shape it into a coffin. After this, we're going to go in with our primer. And for that, I'm going to be using my OPI primer. Remember, you don't have to use the OPI one. I just use it because I have a lot of it. And then after that, we're going to go in with our acrylic application. Okay, so for our acrylic, I'm using my Mia's Secret acrylic system in the color pink, and then I'm using my alpha brush in a number 9, and it is an oval shape. And I do still have a promo code to alpha brushes, so I'll leave that link in the description. So as you can see, I placed that first bead closer to the cuticle area. I pat it down and brushed it down towards the tip, and then I added another bead closer to the tip just to make sure that it's nice and thick. Remember, you also want to make sure that you clean around that cuticle area really good. If you get any acrylic around the skin, you want to make sure you hurry and clean it off before it dries, because if not, it will be hard to take off and it will cause lifting. So make sure that you get as close as you can to that cuticle area without getting acrylic on the actual skin. And once again, I'm using my Mia's Secret acrylic system, and I'm using my brush in number 9, and it is by Alpha Brushes. So for this tip, we are doing our four ball method. So I place that first ball right in the middle where the natural nail and the tip meet. I brush it down towards the tip. I do another one right below that one, and as you can see, everything's being dragged down towards the tip. That way it is nice and thick. Then we're going to place another one closer to that cuticle area, and then our last bead will be our stress area. You want to make sure that you have a nice stress area, because when you break a nail or something, or when you're about to break a nail, that's where your nail gets strength. And remember, you don't have to stick to the 4-ball method. Just add as you need it. So if you need some more, if your nail is not as thick as you want it to be, just go back and add some more. You don't have to stick to my method. That's just what worked for me. And for a fill, once again, we do that one bead closer to the cuticle area, brush it down towards the tip, and clean around the cuticle area really good, and then just add as needed. So same thing for the other hand. We grab our bead, place it closer to the cuticle area, pat it down, brush it down towards the tip, and then go back and clean around the cuticle area really good. And if you need to add a little bit more acrylic, then that is absolutely okay. Once again, you want to make sure you don't apply the acrylic too close to the cuticle area. If you do have bubbles or your acrylic is too runny, then that means that you are using a little bit too much product or too much liquid. So what you want to do is, before you dip your brush into the powder, you want to make sure you wipe your brush off a little, either in the dapping dish or on the paper towel. And I do have a video on how to apply the perfect acrylic ball, so I'll leave that link in the description. If not, you can just go to my videos and just scroll down and you will see it. Once again, I'm using my Mia Secret acrylic system in the color pink, which is like a translucent pink, and I do get this on eBay, so I'll also leave that link in the description. Okay, so after we apply our acrylic, now I'm going to go back in and reshape the nails. So for that, I'm using my 100 nail file, and we are just reshaping the nail. She already has that coffin shape that she wants. Now I am doing them a little bit shorter. That's why I'm filing the tip a little bit more than I usually do, because she did want a little bit of length taken out without cutting them. So once again, I'm using a 100 nail file, and we are just reshaping the nails. Okay, so now I'm going in with my fine drill bit to file the acrylic. So as you can see, I always focus around that cuticle area. You want to make sure that you file really good, because you want to seal that acrylic back there. You want to make sure that it is nice and sealed. That way you get no lifting. And this is probably the most important thing when you're doing acrylics. This is what will prevent your lifting. A lot of your lifting comes from not prepping the nail correctly, but it also comes from not filing the nail really good. Any little gap that you leave back there will cause water or just anything to get in there, and your nail will pop off really easily. So if you're having lifting and you're prepping the nail correctly, you're sizing your tips correctly, you're doing everything correctly, but if you're not doing this correctly, you will still have lifting. And then if you're doing everything right, then you might want to consider changing your acrylic, because it could also be your acrylic. So once again, I focus on that cuticle area. And as you can see, I just go from side to side until I'm able to see where the cuticle area is, where the natural nail is, and where the acrylics start. That way I know that if I'm able to see all those three things, I know that there's no acrylic on the actual skin. Once again, I'm using my fine drill bit, and I'm just filing the acrylic to make sure that we get no lifting at all. And also, I always go back and just file the rest of the nail to make sure that it's nice and smooth and there's no bumps or lumps. Alrighty, so after we file all the nails, I'm going to go in with my buffer and we are just buffing all the nails. And when you're buffing the nails, this is just to remove any of the scratches left from your e-file. So you want to make sure that the nails are nice and smooth because any scratches left on the nail will show through your polish. So make sure that the nails are nice and smooth. After this, we're just going to dust the nails off and wipe them off with an alcohol wipe, or you can also have your client wash their hands. Okay, so for our polish, we're going to be using this really pretty yellow in the color Summer Sun by D&D, as well as our French Vanilla, which is also by D&D, and they are regular polishes. So I wipe the nails off with an alcohol wipe to remove any of that excess dust. And now I'm going to do one coat of my French Vanilla. Once again, these are regular polishes, and we're going to be doing an ombre. So I'm going to go ahead and do the one coat of the French Vanilla on all the nails. And to clean up around my cuticle area, I'm using my 2-in-1 clean up and nail art brush, which will be on my website pretty soon. And we're just going to dip it into acetone and we're going to clean around that cuticle area to make sure that our polish is nice and neat. And one thing that I do want to mention, when you're doing the ombre nails with the makeup wet sponge, you want to make sure that you are using polishes that are not too old. You want to make sure that they are pretty liquidy, because if not, it will be a hot mess. So once again, we did one coat of the French Vanilla. Now I'm going to go in with my Summer Sun and the French Vanilla. I'm going to apply it on the sponge. So I'm doing the yellow first, and then I'm doing the French Vanilla over it to make sure that we get a really good blend. So as you can see, we just dab the polish on, or the sponge, onto the nail, and then just add more polish as needed. So what I usually do is I do one coat of each, and then I come back and do another coat. And once again, they are regular polishes, so you want to make sure that before you do any of these, you are sure that the polish underneath, like that first coat, is really dry before you go back with the sponge. Once again, we are doing Summer Sun and the French Vanilla, and we are using a regular makeup wet sponge, which you can find at Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Walmart, Walgreens, wherever. So now I'm going back and doing the second coat. That way, by the time this hand is done, it will be drying, and then we go back and do the second hand. And then after this, we're going to go back and clean around the cuticle area. And as you can see, I only did 2 coats and I had a really good coverage. So after that, we're just going to let this hand dry. And usually these nails dry really fast because we're not applying a lot of polish. A lot of the polish is actually just soaked into the sponge, but that's what helps blend the nail. So after this, once again, we're going to do the other hand. We're going to do the same technique. We use the polish on the sponge, and then we just dab it onto the nail. And remember, you want to make sure that you use polishes that are not too thick, because if not, it will be a hot mess. Okay, so as you can see, my first hand is dry. I felt on a nail and of course nothing came off, which means that it is completely dry. So I'm going to go in and do my IBD gel top coat. So remember, you can do a gel top coat over regular polish, but the way to make sure that it doesn't crack or peel or anything is you want to make sure that the regular polish is 100% dry before you apply your gel top coat. And the way that I know is by just simply feeling on the nail, but you want to make sure that of course that you know that it's dry, that way you don't go in and mess it up. So I literally just rub on the nail with my thumb, and then if it's dry, then I go back and apply my gel top coat. And after this, we're going to cure for 60 seconds, and we're going to do the same thing on the other hand. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to go in with some of my Peach Cuticle Oil by Tammy Taylor, and I'm just going to massage it onto her cuticles. And this is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at GetNailed32, and I'll see you guys in my next video.